Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome in. Today is going to be a fun day. We're going to be covering Season 3, Episode 9 of the Clone Wars rewatch. We are pretty much at the halfway point right here. I mean, we're getting close there, Luke.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be covering Hunt for Zero. Hunt for Zero. Yeah. I said zero, like, no. But, Luke, are you ready to bring in our guests for today's show?
Yeah, let's just let's just do through the intro and
You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might make it as mine.
And there you go. That's the intro.
Before we start, Char, how you been? How are things going?
I've been good, man. I've just been cruising through these Clone Wars episodes, man. I'm excited. We're already almost halfway done with Season 3.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It feels like it's been flying by.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You ready to bring on our guests?
Yes. So the first guest we're going to bring on is Chase over at Forward Into the Black.
What's up, Chase?
How are you?
Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me back.
Oh yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on. How's it going?
Not too bad. Rewatched Hunt for Zero, briefly before this, and ready to break it down.
Dang straight.
All right. And then the next guest we have is a new guest on here, first time appearance, Sam Blakley.
Hey.
Hey, Sam. How are you?
Doing good. Just rewatched it too.
Nice. There you go. That's how we like to do it.
So before we kick off the show, I just want to go around and ask each and one of you, who is your favorite Star Wars character and why? We'll start with Sam.
Mine is Ziro because I felt a lot with him and his story, how he lost his parents.
Ezra
lost something too with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of Ezra fans out there. Luke and I and Chase have a really close friend that loves Ezra. So.
Absolutely.
He was actually rewatching Rebels today. Actually, he was rewatching Empire Day, and he was like, "Woo, Empire!" that whole episode. That was fun to watch. Ezra is a great character to like. And Chase, who is your favorite character and why?
My favorite character is probably Irika Quell. I've probably made a handful of TikToks based on it, but she's the main character of the Alphabet Squadron trilogy, and I just think that she represents such a cool representation of like the internal struggle and like not being like a truly bad or truly good person. She like has done bad things but is doing good things now, but never is like, oh, I didn't do those bad things. Like she owns up to it and continues to press on through like really difficult times despite her past and despite what everyone thinks of her. So I've always really liked her a lot.
And she's from Alphabet Squadron, right?
Yeah, in a couple comics.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Despite all the good things that I've heard about the Alphabet Squadron books, the trilogy of books, I have never read them yet.
They're super.
And I have to get to them. I've seen copies at the nearby Barnes and Nobles, and I want to get some.
It's probably my favorite Star Wars books series ever.
Yeah, I have to say mine's Aftermath. So I think that I don't know if it'll get beaten, but maybe
I think it's the same author though. So
is it Chuck Wendig?
Oh
no, Chuck Wendig wrote
Alexander Freed. Okay, he wrote.
Alexander Freed. He wrote Twilight Company and
like the Battlefront,
the Rogue One novelization.
Oh, yes. Nice.
No, Battlefront 2 was written by Christy Golden. I think that's the same author for Dark Disciple.
Okay.
Yep, and and that book was based on it was based on
what's it based on?
Iden Versio. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, Iden. Yeah. I wasn't sure which one you were referencing. I wasn't sure if you were referencing Dark Disciple or Battlefront.
No, Battlefront 2. It's all based on like that squadron. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Inferno Squad is really cool. For those of you who are watching, I haven't played the Battlefront 2 campaign. Go ahead and do that. Get off the hero showdown, heroes versus villains. Get off the campaign.
Campaign's fun. Campaign's fun.
No, Jedi Order Fallen Order's campaign is much fun.
Yeah.
Really good.
Fallen Order's good.
Yeah, are you guys ready to dive into this episode?
Well, what are you going to answer the question? Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Me?
Well, us, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, for those of you who watch my channel, my favorite character is Boba Fett, and simply because of the fact that when he was a kid, he didn't really know where he belonged because he was always in his father's shadow, and he always wanted to be better than him. And once he was gone and he was a no one, he went up the ranks by himself with the help of the people that followed Django. And I don't know, I love the Book of Boba Fett. I love all of his character development, whether it be his 6 minutes in the original trilogy, the Clone Wars arcs, even sometimes in the holiday special. And I just love his character.
His best appearance.
Yeah, I love his armor. I just love his whole entire character. So yeah, that's mine.
Mine is Anakin Skywalker. For obvious reasons.
I know you like Anakin, but like, are you like an Anakin and Vader fan, or?
Well, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader, so it's they're the same.
Well, do you
person.
like Anakin outside of the mask or inside?
Yeah, I like his whole character arc.
Okay.
They're the same person, so I mean, when I talk about Anakin,
we've had enough discussion about it.
Oh yeah, don't get me
I wasn't
started
sure
on
if
this.
you liked like Anakin, like in terms of like the Empire Anakin, or in terms of like the Galactic Republic Anakin.
Or
Well,
when
I
you
like
storm
both.
the Jedi Temple, Anakin.
I mean,
501st pulling up. Anakin.
It's his whole character arc. I mean, having the expectations of all the Jedi and just not being able to meet those expectations.
Yeah.
And just being human and being able to fail and see how much pressure one person can deal with until they ultimately can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, and I mean that makes sense. Like Anakin just goes through so much pressure, not even just with like his life. It's just him, the prophecy, and trying to fulfill it, and it's a lot, man. And
absolutely,
yeah, those are our favorite Star Wars characters. If everyone in the chat, if you want to list your favorite Star Wars character and why, go ahead and do so. But for now, we're going to dive into today's episode titled Hunt for Ziro, Season 3, Episode 9 of the Clone Wars. And let's get this rundown going. So the beginning of the episode starts with the plot summary, which I will read.
There you go.
I was about to skip that, but I was like, no. All right, ready?
No.
All right, let's see if I can get back to the good Tom Kane, not the lackluster Tom Kane. Ready? A great escape! Cad Bane and his notorious crew of bounty hunters liberated Ziro the Hutt from a Republic prison after holding the Galactic Senate hostage. The Jedi Council has assigned Obi-Wan Kenobi to retrieve Ziro the Hutt. With the help of Jedi Knight Quinlan Vos, unknown to the Jedi, we find Ziro in the clutches of the 5 Hutt families on the distant world of Nal Hutta.
Nice. Very well done. Very well done.
I give it an 8.8 out of 10.
Give you an 8.85.
Ooh. Round of the nearest 100th place.
Look at that. Look at that.
All right. So obviously we are reinformed that the episode takes place right after the season 1 finale hostage crisis, where Cad Bane and the crew of bounty hunters hold the entire Galactic Senate hostage and go and rescue Cad Bane. Not Cad Bane. They go and rescue Ziro the Hutt in the process. And right when this episode starts, we see Ziro immediately brought before the Hutt families on Nal Hutta. And so what happens is they're talking about maybe Gardula wants to just end him, but Ziro tells them that he has information, this highly sensitive information that is inside this hollow diary that he knows where, that could bust the entire Hutt clan. And if he were to be betrayed, he would just give that information to the Galactic Republic. And that information is worth a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting how he has something over the Hutts when we see him as like the lesser of the families, because he always finds his way into prison and he's always the lesser version of Jabba the Hutt. And it's kind of funny to see that he has an edge over him. And then right after we move, so before we go, what were your thoughts on that whole sequence with Ziro and talking to the Hutt families?
I thought it was pretty weird how they were all talking to each other like that, and they wouldn't help her at all. Help him.
Yeah.
It's It's this really strange opening, and this is something with Star Wars that I like have an internal conflict with, of how much do I want it to reflect the real world versus how much do I want it to feel like a galaxy
Mhm.
far, far away. Because I think like even in like Attack of the Clones, when we have the diner scene, like it's something that feels like that perfect mixture of like this is definitely real world, but the inhabitants inside of it make it feel still Star Wars, but kind of like, and I'm not going to get too into it, but like the Vespas of Book of Boba Fett, and we'll later talk about there's the swamp like fan boat,
Yeah,
Mhm.
the airboats.
the
Yeah.
airboats, and then
I
this
think they're
like,
called swamp speeders. I think that's
yeah,
what Zero
but
says.
it's basically an old like New Orleans like fan boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we have Zero, who's this like old wealthy Southern gentleman from like the late 1800s. We have the mustache mafia guy, and then we have like the precursor to like e-cigarette smoking guy. And I'm just like, it's like there's so many things that are tossed at you all at once of like this just feels not Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
No,
I know
yeah,
what you
that's
mean.
that.
It feels like if Star Wars just took a trip to the bayou.
No, yeah, definitely.
And Tony Soprano got lost along the way.
Yeah, yeah. I just like how all of them are just like Chase was saying, like they're all like different stereotypes of like gangsters. I was just like, my God, come on now. Like this is just weird. This is just weird. But yeah, I mean, like Zero having that knowledge is kind of funny because it's like if he didn't have that knowledge, he probably wouldn't be in the position that he was, even in the Clone Wars movie. Because if you remember, he had his own like pal, like his own like apartment / bar place on Coruscant, which was given to him by Gardula and Jabba, if I remember correctly. But yeah, like this is it's so funny. I absolutely hate Zero and the guy from seriously though, Camilla said it perfectly. Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. That's absolutely right. That TikTok fits him so well throughout this episode.
And then right when that all happens between Zero and the Hutt families, we see Commander Cody and Obi-Wan on the landing pad on Coruscant,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking about this Jedi Knight's reputation, and they're like, yeah, he's got quite the reputation. And then Obi-Wan's like, yeah, I guess I call him crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And Obi-Wan sees him not so. He sees him pretty outrageous. He's very, and especially in this episode, he takes a lot of risks. Like especially in the very end of the episode. But he's pretty rogue, I'd say. And it's amazing to see how Quinlan Voss makes his entrance. He's like, "Hey, Kenobi!" And then he goes up, and then he just flips and lands. And then Cody's like, "Ah!" And then, oh my! And you can just tell by the look of Obi-Wan's face that he's just not having it.
Yeah.
Another Anakin.
Obi-Wan's not very fond of him, and he's like, "Well, if you could make a good landing like that, I suggest that we shouldn't be cutting any time and let's head to Nal Hutta."
Yeah, pretty much.
What were your so I know there's a lot of people that love Quinlan Voss, and this is one of the very few episodes in the Clone Wars that we do see him.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts on that whole sequence between Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss? You can go ahead, Chase, or go ahead, any of you.
Yeah, Sam, you got something to say? Go for it.
Yeah, Sam, go ahead. You good?
I couldn't stop laughing about him him introducing himself to Obi-Wan.
Well, he already knew Obi-Wan, but he was like kind of like he was like, "Allow me to reintroduce myself," and he makes this grand entrance, and he's just like, "Hey, Kenobi." He's like, "How's Temple life?"
So I have not read Dark Disciple. So
I have. It's really good.
Okay.
It's in my top 5 canon books.
Is the character represented in Dark Disciple on par with what we see here?
He's a little darker. He's a little darker in Dark Disciple.
Yeah, he's pretty different.
Okay, because the only thing I know about Quinlan Vos is like he's in episode 1, hanging out on Tatooine, just like chilling, looking, kind of menacing in a way, but in like a ominous way.
Yeah, he was very incognito.
And then like this guy just sounds like the guy that's going to ask you if you've heard the unreleased tracks from Sublime, like, and just like he's just like so out of left field, and especially on top of like our hut montage or like entourage of stereotypes, and I'm just like, man, this episode does not stop. Like, it's full gas the whole time. But I do like the that interaction of Cody, Obi-Wan, and Quinlan Vos of just like this, like, you're a jerk, where you're making us late, and we're all gonna throw quips at each other. I think that was really well done.
No, yeah, especially because Obi-Wan is used to like Sam said, he is used to Anakin, and he's just like, all right, let's just get this over with. Like I'm done like hanging out with you already. Like let's just get this done. And I love how like Quinlan's like, all right, Kenobi, you can be my co-pilot. And he's like, oh god, oh god, I was afraid you were gonna say that. Oh man, it was rough. It was rough. But yeah.
And then once that happens, once they get on the ship and they head to Nalhutta, we see a performance from a character, a pilot named Cy Snoodles, performing in front of the Hutt families. And so what's interesting about this, it's
she is the bane of she is the bane of my existence.
Oh no, believe me, you'll like her later into this episode. So after the performance, she talks to one of her Twilight dancers about a day's work and everything, and the Twilight dancer tells her that Ziro is locked up in the detention cell there, and Cy's like, Ziro's here? And then he's like, oh yeah, and then she just gets up and leaves and starts heading down there. And I think so. Before I blabber on about it, what were your thoughts on how Cy Snoodles got through all the Gamorrean guards? Because I thought that was the best scene in this episode. And it's kind of funny because it's from Cy Snoodles, but the way she gets through the Gamorreans to get to Ziro was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Where it's just like, oh yeah, Gardula wants to know who's stronger. You guys should fight right now.
Like this, oh my god, this episode just made me want to bash my head against a wall. It's not one of my favorites. It's definitely gonna get a low ranking.
But
it
is a funny episode by far. Because
it is very funny.
It is very funny.
I mean, especially with the moral of the episode is love comes in all shapes and sizes, and I'm like, come on, are you really trying to justify Ziro and Cy Snoodles right now?
Yeah, it's tough because I mean, it's like Cy Snoodles. She gets done performing and then she gets this like accent and I think it's like for the Southern twang again, and it's just like, Jesus, like why are we doing this right now?
Yeah, it makes you think, like, after watching Return of the Jedi, you wouldn't think that Cy Snoodles has a Southern accent.
Oh yeah,
I would put like a Jersey accent on her.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, it wasn't Southern. It was definitely Jersey accent. That is true. I mean, we'd have to ask Brian. Brian with the beard, you have been summoned. Where do we think Cy Snoodles is from? North Jersey, South Jersey? Where do we think Cy Snoodles?
Probably the Jersey Shore. I don't know.
We need to.
She's from Jersey City, but says she lives in New York.
Probably. I just thought it was funny. Like she was like, especially when they start talking about like their past endeavors.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
and the nickname that she calls Ziro.
Yeah, I can't even remember.
Honey.
Oh yeah. And Ziro
it's
like all
That's jarring.
cringeworthy.
It's
Like
so jarring.
the whole episode with just like the parts with just Zero and Nice Noodles. I just was like, I just want to turn it.
It's pretty hard to watch.
Brian Size Noodles is from Staten Island.
Oh my
Ben says, does New Jersey honestly want to claim
New Jersey doesn't want to claim anyone.
I think Sice Noodle should just start her own town
I think she just needs to
and
go
become
away.
the sheriff of that town.
Noodles.
Yeah, Snoodle City.
Honestly, she should have been in the
where
book
you
of
only
Boba
get
Fett.
where you only get soup and noodles, snoodles. Anyway,
Moving on.
moving on.
So what happens? So obviously, if you couldn't tell, she goes to the two Gamorrean guards that are protecting the cell or the walkway to the cell, and they're like, Gardula says wants to request who's stronger, and then they immediately fight for no given reason. They just hear her and they fight, and then there's a
Gamorrean guards are
Gamorrean
the worst.
in front of the cell, and Sai goes, "Oh my God, stop them! They're fighting!" I'm like, wow, that worked well, I guess. And then once that happens, the interaction between Ziro and Sice Noodles is pretty interesting. I'd say some of the things that they were saying and how Ziro was like, "Oh my God, prison has left me like this, and I just wanted to continue our love." And I'm like, what is going? Like, this is a love story that no one asked for, but we got anyway, and we didn't really appreciate it. But it's funny the thing between the dialogue between the two. And a fun fact about that dialogue between the two is that she told Ziro that she wants to be together with Ziro forever, and he says, "You really mean that?" I'm trying to do my Ziro impression. And Sice Noodle says, "From the bottom of my fluid sac." And Sice Noodle's species is called Apolloic, and her species, instead of hearts, have fluid sacs. So she was technically saying from the bottom of my heart, and she just replaced it with fluid sac. So I thought it was a pretty cool little Easter egg that I found in that line, which is weird that I'm finding stuff like that from Sice Noodles. There's
not enough brain bleach to cleanse my memory of that. That is so true.
Oh yeah, get ready for this next part. We see Sice Noodles and Ziro kiss, and
it is the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life.
I think I was talking to Luke when this happened. I was like, "Oh, that's awful. I love it."
Oh my God! Yeah, so that was probably one of the low moments in Clone Wars.
It's in my top 10. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh Jesus, Chase, you just like chaos, okay? That's your issue. You just love chaos. I don't know what to tell you. This is your burden. You love chaos in Star Wars, and this is your problem.
I don't know. I see it. I'm like, God, this is terrible. I am having a great time.
Oh my God.
I feel like, Chase, you're that guy who's happy when they're miserable.
Yeah,
like, oh, they're kissing. Yes, but no, but also yes.
This like whole thing feels very much like this episode's very much catered to the younger audience, and like this whole scene is like,
which is interesting.
Hey kids, isn't kissing gross? Oh, look at how gross this is.
No, that's so true though. Ben's like, I literally went, I have a lightsaber and a very long lip.
It's a snout. It's a snout.
That's so funny. But anyway, push through this part.
I'm going to we go back to Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss after this. Thank God. It's a great way to go after that sequence. But once that's over with, Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss arrive on Nal Hutta and question the Hutts if they were responsible for breaking Ziro out of prison, because Obi-Wan and the Republic are allies with the Hutts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Quinlan Voss was very, like adamant to know all the answers, and he didn't care. Like he immediately accused them, and didn't really know all the facts before blaming them. And I found this to be cool because while Ziro was talking to the Hutts at the beginning of the episode, Quinlan sees an empty cup on the ground, and he goes and he holds it, and he experiences a vision, which this is the first time we see Force psychometry in Star Wars. And we see this a lot. We see this in Jedi Fallen Order. We see this a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker. But this episode was the first time we see that power. And I thought it was really cool. And then once Quinlan Vos and Kenobi leave to go to Ziro's cell, Cad Bane enters the frame. And he was just sitting behind the closed doors this entire time. What were your guys, like, what was your reaction to Quinlan's unique power? Because as time went on, we find out that this power is hereditary and you can't learn this. So Quinlan being one of the very few people that know this power, I thought it was what makes him such a cool character.
It was like when Obi-Wan said, like, let me find, I know where I'm going with it.
Oh.
Where I'm going. Sorry.
Yeah, so
like,
what
let
were
me
you saying?
find where it's at. I know where I'm going. Do you trust me? And he says that to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan, especially with him being kind of like a different kind of version of Anakin, I feel like Anakin and Obi-Wan have like a trusty relationship, but sometimes Anakin does very risky things, is what Quinlan Vos does in this episode. So he needs to be very careful with how they go, because the Hutt's a big family. Hutts are very powerful in the galaxy, so you don't want to mess that up. and Obi-Wan's always concerned, just like how he is with Anakin all the time. And yeah, and then we move to Ziro's cell with Obi-Wan and Quinlan Vos, and they notice the Gamorreans are lying on the ground, and Ziro escaped. And I just love, because once that scene of them when Obi-Wan's like, Vos, he escaped, or Ziro escaped, they immediately cut to Sice Noodles and Ziro on the swamp speeder, and then we see them follow. I just want to know your thoughts about that sequence, or that banter between Obi-Wan and Quinlan right after Obi-Wan gets caught by that monster from the swamp. I thought that was one of the few funny moments in this episode. I think the funniest is when Sice Noodles got through the Gamorreans, but this one was really funny. The way that he was speaking to Quinlan, and how Quinlan was speaking to him, I thought it was just hilarious.
I like the fact that they always pair Obi-Wan with that person who's just such a handful. Like, he can never have an easy assignment. There's nothing for him that will ever go according to plan. And I think that's such a cool aspect of Obi-Wan's character throughout Clone Wars. But the one thing that I thought was interesting, kind of going back to the cup, was it always bugged me. I don't think it's like a huge thing, but it's just like this compulsive thing of like, why was there no like servant droid that picked this cup up earlier? Yeah. Why does he like turn around, walk over, and pick it up? Like, we see this really cool ability. You can get like a Force echo. You don't just go like whoop with the Force on it and like, be a little bit sneaky. Like, I feel like that would be more in his character in this episode as well. Just like, yeah, and whoop. And but
I could see that, but then again, like, you don't want to alarm them,
Yeah. But yeah, I think their interaction is cool. I think it's a good like parallel to Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah, and I thought the best part of that sequence was when Obi-Wan was attacked by that monster. And then right when he escapes him, and Quinlan just walks over, hey, can you stop wasting time, Kenobi? We're on a mission. And he doesn't even acknowledge that the monster got him. And he just doesn't care. And I thought that was very Quinlan Vos-like. He's just like, let's do this. And it's kind of funny because Obi-Wan was doing the same thing at the beginning of the episode. And now Quinlan Vos is like, okay, just no more dilly-daddling. Let's go. Let's do this thing. No getting trapped by monsters or anything. But yeah, Sam, what was your thoughts about that little sequence on by the river with Quinlan and Obi-Wan?
You mean when he had to rescue him?
What's that?
God, I felt so embarrassed for Obi-Wan when he said had to get rescued by him.
Yeah.
Now I need my help now. I think that's what he said.
Yeah,
No,
he.
Yeah.
It was hilarious just seeing how Quinlan responded to Obi-Wan almost getting eaten alive.
yeah. Kenobi, are you done? Are we gonna take all day with this? And I just thought it was hilarious, just like Obi-Wan's just like, all right, I'm coming, and then like all of a sudden the monster attacks him, and it's just like, oh geez. I mean, but also Cad Bane and Toto, like they are like also having issues as well.
Yeah.
Like they pass up they don't know that they pass up Kenobi and Voss, but they do. But I like it's so interesting to see that dynamic between those two.
Yeah, and so after that scene, we go to where Cy Snoodles and Ziro are going to, and they're going to visit Ziro's mom, called Mama the Hutt. She's literally called Mama the Hutt, and this is one of those moments in Clone Wars where you're like, why? So once they go visit Mama the Hutt, Mama gives Ziro, because Ziro was like, I'll give you my swamp speeder for a starship because he wants to get off the planet, and because he tells Mama that he's getting hunted down by Gardula and he needs to take it out of here, so he takes the starship and heads to the planet Teth. And which, correct me if I'm wrong, Teth is a planet that is introduced, or also, well, not introduced, it's brought upon in the Master and Apprentice book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and,
it is.
I thought it was a really cool reference that Master and Apprentice had this planet involved, because we see what the planet looks like, and we get a whole story about how Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were there, and that Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss are there, and Ziro says he has important business on Teth. That's why he needs to get out of there. Not because he also has to escape, but he has this business he has to take care of. And it's also intertwined with him taking down the Hutts while the Hutts are trying to take down him. So it's kind of like a pretty sticky situation, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then Cad Bane and Toto go after Ziro on not the same, but they go on a swamp speeder very similar to what Cy and Ziro were riding earlier. And Obi-Wan notices that Voss and him aren't the only ones after Ziro, but they had no idea that it was Cad Bane that's after him. And then they go to Mama the Hutt, and then I love how Mama the Hutt was like, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Yeah.
I love the way she talked. Like, it was like if you were to have like Michael Clark Duncan play like a really like a very deep, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
have you ever seen Squidbillies?
A little bit.
You know the character Crystal?
Luke knows what's going on.
She's the woman that is always laying down, and she's got like a really bad mullet with like hair sticking out like this. But no, I mean, if you have time after this, look up Crystal Squidbillies, and it's Mama the Hutt, and she even talks like Mama the Hutt. It's so funny.
Are you guys going to kill my son?
Yeah, it's this because like even like backtracking to like when we meet Cy Snoodles and like there's the like Las Vegas dancers wearing the Hutt helmets. We now get this like very like for a Hutt, a big Hutt that is just like in bed like this and it's like, yeah, you going after my son? It's just like this episode literally does not stop at any moment, and it is wild every second of the way.
It is honestly amazing that they had the creativity of bringing in such a big Hutt, because before this, before watching that episode when I was younger, I had no idea Hutts could get that big. Like it's literally if you were to have that Geonosian queen but a hut.
Mhm.
That's really what it is.
Oh yeah, it literally is. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I wish she was on that filter so we could do smash or pass. We're all picking smash, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm passing on that one. Sorry.
Luke, come on.
Missing
I'm
out.
passing. There's a lot to love there, but I just don't think
Yeah.
that
There is.
there's not enough of me to give her what she needed.
No
But
one,
anyway,
no one can truly handle Mama the Hutt.
no, not even Jabba's father. Um,
And then when
Yeah.
and then when Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss interrogate Mama, they ask where, because they're not after him to kill him, as what someone did prior to them coming in wanted to do, Cad Bane.
yes.
And she tells Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss that he's going to Teth, not for like any like. She just says that they're going to Teth,
Mhm.
and they tell Mama the Hutt that if we don't find Ziro before Cad Bane does, then
He's
he
gonna
will
be in
be-
trouble.
he will be in big trouble. Yeah, he's going to be in a much bigger risk than if he were to be caught by Obi-Wan and Quinlan. And we go to Teth, and we see Ziro by a tomb. And this is where the Holo Diary is located. This is the information that could be enough to take down the entire Hutt clan. And Sai Snows is like, "Oh, look at this," and grabs it and takes it, and then is like, "Oh, I got a job to do," and pulls a gun on Ziro.
Well, even in that exchange, like Zero's like, yeah, this is everything on the entire Hutt Council, which makes you think we've gotten the Hutts in the High Republic.
Mhm.
You got to wonder if that diary's got some stories from the High Republic and the Drengir and everything else, because now Hutta actually is the way it is because of the Drengir attack back in the High Republic. That's actually why it is like the swampiness and the layout.
Yeah.
But like it's so interesting to think like it's so mobster. Let's keep all of our stuff in one place, and let's make sure that nobody can get to it. We put it with the dead guy, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, and then we see Sai Sunals turn on him, and then he's like, "But what about our romance? What about the sunsets? What about all
God.
this?"
Oh my god!
And then-
It's Zero dirty. I can't. That's
And
just-
then she's like, "You'll think twice before breaking my heart." And then she was like, "Oh wait, there won't be a next time." And then poof, poof, poof. That's how Ziro goes.
Oh my god! You know what?
I-
It was like the most satisfying but like disappointing death in all of Star Wars.
I know, right? Like, imagine getting killed by Sice Noodles.
Yeah, that's not the worst. What were your guys' thoughts on
Like,
that
that's an
death?
all-time low.
Yeah.
it's just it's just one of those things of like you're right. Like it's satisfying to watch like such a dumb character like get what's coming to him. Like,
Exactly.
there's part of me that like wants to root for Sice Noodles of like, yeah, like the character we only know from doing the really weird song in Empire
Go girl.
in Return of the Jedi. Like, oh wow, she has a backstory and she's kind of, you don't want to call her a badass, but she's like exhibiting all of the factors that go behind that, and you're just like, I guess she's got something going for her. But yeah, like you're right, and it's like just like the angle of like just the blaster pew pew, and then like Ziro just kind of like flops over.
Yeah.
I was like, that's one way to get rid of a character, I guess.
Yeah. Sam, your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it was just a surprise how she turns on her just a second over, and all of a sudden you're just like loving on her and loving on him, and then you're just gonna turn on him and just shoot on.
I know.
Agreed.
It was like,
Agreed.
it made
Agreed,
it seem
Camilla.
like they were like okay and fine, but then it's like how can I just dive into a love story between Ziro the Hutt, who we all hate, and Sai Noodles, who we all think's annoying?
Yeah,
It's hard to take it seriously.
it's a lose-lose situation. But like once Cat Bane and Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss get there, that's when that's like the best part of the episode.
The
Oh my
badass
god,
bounty
by
hunter
far,
ever.
Yeah.
by far. It's interesting because as Sai leaves after Ziro's death, we see Cad Bane and Toto enter the scene, and Cad Bane's like, I hate it when someone does my job for me. And he hears a ship above him, and he notices that's a Jedi ship. And then we see Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss jump out and land right in front of Ziro's body. And I find this scene to be pretty badass on Cad Bane's part, because you'd think like maybe you'd hide from a Jedi, and then once they go and see Ziro's body, Cad Bane just walks out. Like, he doesn't care that they're there. Like, he's not afraid of a Jedi. He's not even afraid of two Jedi. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he is one of the most ruthless people in the galaxy, and he's not afraid of anything. It's one of the little things that made me appreciate Cad Bane more. But it's like, he didn't even do anything. All he did was just not be a coward. Because, like, I find it so cool that Cad Bane is able to be this skilled. Like, he is such a skilled bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people take that for granted. Like, I've always like taken that for granted, because like me being a Boba Fett fan and always getting him compared with Cad Bane, and like Cad Bane is, oh man, he's something else in this episode specifically. But
That's interesting.
But
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, what's so interesting about like just the whole essentially rest of the episode, right? Of like Cad Bane versus Quinlan Voss and Obi-Wan. I just rewatched Attack of the Clones the other day, and
nice.
the thing I that movie is fantastic to watch after you've seen Book of Boba Fett, by the way.
It is.
It
is.
So much more to that movie. The movie's great as it is.
It makes you feel weird a little bit about the Tusken Raiders that are depicted in the movie.
It feels weird. But what's so cool about that is, we have this scene on Camino where we have Jango Fett versus Obi-Wan, right? And we see that there is the bounty hunter versus the Jedi is almost a fair fight. And we got this a lot in the expanded universe of like the Jedi are being hunted by bounty hunters. And so it's one of those things. We got it in, a lot of the books, a lot of the comics, and a lot of the video games. And then we see that in Attack of the Clones. And now we see it in the Clone Wars with Cad Bane. And he's taking on two Jedi on his own. And he's holding himself in the fight. So we do get more of this, like, bounty hunters are something to be messed, or something to be taken seriously. And maybe not feared, but just like, this is a huge thing that the Jedi have to do. And I think you see this with Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss. These aren't droids they're cutting the heads off of, right? This is a serious confrontation they have to deal with.
Yeah. Just a real quick shout out. Brooke B Dazzler. If you're looking for Star Wars merch, looking for stuff for like a loved one that loves Star Wars, Far Far Away Factory. They have their own Instagram. You can follow Brooke at _B Dazzler _. She's got everything from Air Force Ones, Vans, jackets, T-shirts, shoes, stickers, which eventually we will be getting Pod One's stickers. But eventually she does have an Etsy shop. Eventually she will be going towards her own website. So be on the lookout for that. Far, Far Away Factory. And there's our plug. And continue with the episode.
Brooke, I'm going to send you some cycling shoes.
Ooh, interesting. Cycling shoes. And Attack of the Clones. I feel like Attack of the Clones gets a lot of shit, but it's a decent.
I give it crap all the time, but I mean,
it's a decent movie. I really do enjoy that
good.
Movie.
It's really.
I give that movie a lot of crap too. It's my least favorite movie, but it does have its moments.
It does absolutely have
its moments.
Rewatching it was a treat, to say the least.
After the Book of Boba Fett, it hits hard.
I
It enhances it. Yeah.
I would agree with
the
that.
scene with Anakin on the Tusken Raiders. Like, it gives us more depth about the Tuskens, and then we see more of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I think what the
especially with those
Tusken does.
flashbacks.
I think with the Tuskens, I think what it does after Book of Boba Fett, now that we've got that media, is it makes, and I don't mean this as like slander, it makes Anakin a worse person, which is what we're
Yeah.
going for.
Yeah.
We need him to be worse, because he's got to become the prime
big bad
goal of
Yeah, we all know where he's going.
yeah. And so it's just, now that we have that context of like, you potentially killed a bunch of innocent life forms, like, holy crap.
Yeah, but I mean, they also established in the Book of Boba Fett that some relied on killing to make it through, and then some were. It also
He was alive.
It's all about perspective. Yeah,
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. I think when Anakin touched her, that's that's because once Anakin touched her, I think that was when
no, yeah,
he tried to force heal her, and it did the opposite.
No, yeah, basically, yeah.
his dark side.
Yeah. So like, even so, getting back to the episode, like seeing Cad Bane like completely go toe to toe with two Jedi and have a saber fight with
That was
Obi-Wan was dope. Watching him go toe to toe with Obi-Wan, who's probably one of the greatest Jedi in the entire galaxy, it's just ridiculous. Like, he was a complete badass in that fight.
Yeah,
But-
I it's just one of those things, like, I think the first time I watched this episode, I was like, "Ooh, this kind of diminishes the ability of the Jedi. Like, if anyone can just grab a lightsaber and go to town with them," but it's just like, it just kind of, I think more specifically, kind of like
It does the opposite of, I think it gives more praise to the bounty hunters. Yeah, absolutely. And showing their skills and showing that, hey, you don't have to be force sensitive to use a lightsaber, aka Markion Rowe, that we know of right now. We don't know if he's force sensitive or not, but yeah, I'm
hot Jedi, so
no, it's true. And I mean, we're getting close to the end of the episode. Anybody got anything else to say on the interactions between Cad Bane, Quinlan Vos, and Obi-Wan, like that whole thing?
When I mentioned earlier about Quinlan Vos taking risks, I really love that scene that he didn't even have a lightsaber. He just ran, jumped, and just tackled Bane in midair, like without a worry in the world. And gosh, this flamethrower, like, this just makes Quinlan Vos such an enjoyable character, just because of what he's capable of doing and like what he can do in terms of, like, if he doesn't have his lightsaber, what does he do? He just goes and just engages the opponent. That's cool.
Yeah, and the fact that he said that he owes Bane one to Bane because he did something prior. That would be a fun little comic to get. If we ever got a Cad Bane comic, I would love to have that interaction.
We probably will.
We might. I think it would be a fun little interaction that we got. And stuff like that.
Yeah, we need more information about what he was doing.
What Cad Bane was doing during the the Galactic Civil War era. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, because the closest thing that we see him in is Bad Batch, and that's
it's so interesting that this whole sequence of events, like from them finding Ziro to basically the end of the episode, it just, like, the episode just does like a complete 180. At this point, and it's just like, it's so cool to see, and you forget everything that happened prior, because, like, this fight scene is so cool, and it does tell a really interesting story. Like, one of my big criticisms of Clone Wars is a lot of times we get a lot of lightsaber swinging for the sake of lightsaber swinging, and this one feels like we're telling a story, and we're showing who these characters are based on their fighting.
And the good thing is too is that the lightsaber fight kind of compensates for all the negatives that came into this episode. Like, we didn't like the thing between Ziro and Sai. Let's be honest. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't like, but this lightsaber duel between Cad Bane, and the fact that Cad Bane takes Quinlan's lightsaber and starts fighting Obi-Wan with it is one of the most badass things we've ever seen. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I know he doesn't last long, but he tried.
He
like, that's awesome.
Yeah, he definitely does. He does a really good job.
He's not afraid, and I think that's such a great aspect of his character. And I think getting the real life Cad Bane. We see this yet again. Like he is not
Yes.
afraid to take on anyone. It's like in a situation where he more or less is probably outnumbered. He's still going to do it. He's still going to go for it, and because it always works out for him until the end.
Yeah, he's like Din Djarin at any given moment. He's like, I like those odds.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he's against 3 Jedi or if he's against a Rancor and Boba Fett. Doesn't matter.
And this is the first time I've like seen animated Cad Bane after watching Book of Boba Fett, and
It feels weird, isn't it?
it just made me feel like they did such a good job in Book of Boba Fett with Cad Bane. Like they did such a good job. Like when I go back with fresh eyes after seeing Book of Boba Fett and I see Cad Bane again, I had totally forgotten Cad Bane was in this episode when I rewatched it. I'm like, oh yeah, Cad Bane. They did a really good job in that show. Like they really captured him really well. So props to the costume people and makeup people in that movie or in the show. Because I think also it just gives them more appreciation for Cad Bane after watching Book of Boba Fett. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, Sam, you have any thoughts about that that lightsaber duel?
Yeah, like how he like grabbed his like lightsaber too, and also how he like electrocuted Obi-Wan without even like dropping a finger.
Yeah, and that's exactly how he did that to Ahsoka in the last season when he was I'm forgetting what was he doing? I'm forgetting what he was doing.
He was trying to get the holocron.
Oh, the holocron.
Holocron
The
fries.
holocron, my
And he fried Ahsoka and got Anakin to open up the holocron for him. Yeah, that's how he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like one of the most that's one of the coolest things that Cad Bane is able to do. Like we don't see that from anyone. You can just grab them and just shock them until
because I know like Chrysanthemum has like the knucklers, like the electric knucklers. Does Cad Bane have something similar? I don't know.
It's just in his gauntlet. It just sends a pulse. I bet it's from his his gloves that only go up to his index, like halfway through his fingers, and it just probably has like technology in it to where it sends a pulse of electricity to whatever he's trying to do.
It's cool because I think it's always cool to see how all the various bounty hunters get ahead just through like the technology and intuition that they have over not just like the Jedi, but over any of the bounties they're collecting. Like there's always like another trick up a bounty hunter's sleeve. Which I think
that's the one thing I love about bounty hunters is just their ingenuity to get the job done. Like it's one of the most interesting parts. It's like it doesn't matter who they're against; they just find a way.
B-rockets, who would have thought?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's what I realized in Fallen Order. That also happened too. Like when you first encounter it on Kashyyyk when you're I think like going back on one of the planets, and they suddenly like attack you out of nowhere, and you're like, where do you come from?
I love the bounty hunter encounters. I like that they're like you get one shot with those bounty hunter encounters. I think that's one of my favorite parts of that game.
Yeah, I found one. What was that planet called? It was when you're on the asteroid, when you're on the when you're fighting all the animals or finding all the beasts in the arena.
It's just the arena. I don't.
Once you're done with that, you move on and then you fight one of those bounty hunters. And I think they're one of the toughest parts of the game. Like you just encounter them randomly.
Yeah, you're never ready.
Extremely powerful. Yeah, it's like bounty hunters are just my thing. It's like that's why I love Boba Fett so much.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is the end of the episode. Yeah,
Nice Noodles delivers the hollow diary to Jabba, and then
so after that, Sice Noodles gives the information to Jabba, and Sice Noodles gets
MVP award to Sice Noodles.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my god!
Thank you so much.
This episode was rough. I would say that.
It depends on which part, though.
Yeah,
it was hard to watch for me.
It was hard to watch the beginning of it, and then like the back end was really, really worth it, though. But
I had totally forgotten about this episode, and you had asked if anyone could pop in for the episode. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch. Let me rewatch it. I'm like, oh man,
what did I get myself into?
Of course, I said to do the trashiest episode.
But Char, what you got your 3 interesting facts?
Yeah, you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
3 interesting facts about a certain Clone Wars arc that you didn't know about until now. Part 14, Hunt for Ziro Edition. Fact 1, an homage to Indiana Jones. The performance in front of the Hutt families that was done by Sice Noodles paid homage to the opening scene of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Fact 2, weird type of hair. There's these little small creatures called Shirelian tupes that rest on the top of the head of Marlo the Hutt and Mama the Hutt.
Yeah, the black
They
things,
give them
right?
the appearance of hair. It's not actually hair. It's a moving, living creature on their head. And fact 3, the inspiration for Mama the Hutt. The inspiration for the character came from the vampire Pearl from the 1998 Blade movie. And that was how Mama the Hutt was made. That was who Mama was inspired by. So those are the 3 interesting facts about Hunt for Ziro.
Bam. Awesome. Nice job.
Is the droid? I can't remember if it's Cad Bane's droid or not. Is that Seth Green?
Yes. Toto is
Okay.
voiced by
Because
Seth
I'm like,
Green.
that sounds like Seth Green. I didn't know.
Yep.
Mhm.
So this episode was brought to you by Brian with the Beard's Beard Bomb, the only beard bomb for Star Wars fans that live in their parents' basement. LLC Incorporated. All right. So every episode we have our rankings. We've got Youngling bad, Padawan okay, Jedi Knight good, Jedi Master great, Grand Master Chef kiss. This one's definitely going to be. I'm going to start off Youngling. The back half doesn't even save it. I'm sorry, it's bad. It's just really bad. Zero's off for me. Size noodles not.
You have to think about the title of the
me.
episode. It's called Hunt for Ziro. Like this whole episode is about Zero's death.
Yeah, and I absolutely hate. I despise this episode.
Yeah, I mean, hey, everyone's opinion's valid, and I have nothing against your reasoning.
Everybody in the chat, let us know what you guys' rankings are.
Brian said one that's not even on the list. He said Bantha Poodoo.
Yeah, that's what we should change.
allowed.
That's what we should change Youngling to. We should just put it.
Yeah, with you being an
instead of
Anakin fan,
yeah,
with you
instead
being an Anakin fan, you put
Yeah.
Youngling as bad. I mean, that makes sense.
I should have put Youngling equals Bantha Poodoo. That's what it should be now.
No, it should be bad equals Bantha Poodoo or Bantha Fodder.
No, because you can't just go from bad to young. You can't do that.
Like, what's bad about a Youngling, you know?
Anyway,
I'm
yeah.
just giving you a hard
Anybody?
time.
What's everybody else's rankings?
I think I give it a Jedi Knight. It was good, but at the half of the end of it was kind of good when we get to see Cad Bane and them fight. Kind of not the whole Zero.
Yeah.
was not like really not that best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to enjoy some
it was
some
tough.
parts.
Tough.
Yeah, Chase, what's your ranking?
I'm gonna go Youngawan.
Youngawan.
It's just like there's honestly, it's not even the Zero and Psy for me. It's just the sheer amount of like, what is this? What are you doing? Like, we start off with the stereotypes of the Hutts. And I think the Hutts are fine as these big menacing worms. They don't need to be Italian mob bosses or like Southern gentlemen. Then we go into like Dude Bro Quinlan Voss, and then we get the Las Vegas showroom with the Hutt helmets, and then we get the Bayou swamp
Dancers.
fan boat thing. And then like all of the weird interactions between Psy and Zero. Then we get Mama the Hutt, which is it's just like I said, this episode doesn't stop being ridiculous. And I think Star Wars can be ridiculous in a fun way. Like, as much as I don't like the space Vespas from Boba Fett, they're fun. They are Robert Rodriguez fun. Do I think they fit? No, but they're fun. They're fun to be in there. I don't think anything they put in this episode was fun. It was just weird. But the Cad Bane fight at the end is so good that I can't just be like, oh, it's a bad episode.
Yeah,
I can.
That's what I'm acknowledging. Like, because I give this one, I'm gonna go with the chase technique here. I'm gonna give it a Patanite. Sounds a lot like Mennonite, but it's a Patanite. It's in between the two. It's a 2.5, I'd say.
Gotcha.
Just like Luke, I really hated the Zero and Sice Noodle scenes. They made me extremely uncomfortable, even as a kid and me as an adult. But
I never saw it as a kid, so I walked in as an adult, and I'm like, this is what people are all about.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing it as a kid. Like, I remember seeing it, and I was like, and I kept remembering. I was like, oh, I remember now. I hated this episode. I remember.
Yeah.
yeah, once you see Sice Noodles and Zero touch faces, you remember. Like it's stuck in your head at all times.
Yeah,
Oh my
I feel
God.
like the chat has been, pretty vocal about how goofy this whole episode is. And
Yes.
Yeah, and so yeah, I just think that the Cad Bane versus Quinlan Voss. I keep on mixing Qui-Gon and Quinlan, but
Well,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
and Quinlan Voss. I just think that saves the episode in my way. It doesn't make it a Jedi Master by all means, but it
No.
gives it that leverage to where it's not an absolute ball of fire,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of my most memorable fights in all of Clone Wars. Is
Yeah.
that fight between Cad Bane and Obi-Wan and Quinlan Voss.
Yeah.
And I just love Quinlan Voss in that scene. And that was actually my first introduction to Quinlan Voss. So
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of fighting, but like kind of like I said like earlier, is like there's a lot of fighting just for the sake of fighting, just to have an action sequence in this show. This is one of those things like I'm like, yes, this fight stands out. Like this is such a cool sequence that like it really does. You're like, oh yeah, this is one of the coolest things. Like I know like a lot of a lot of people remember like a lot of the mall fights and stuff like that are more memorable, but this is when I
Mhm.
think it really does like stick with you. Like this was a cool moment when Cad Bane, Obi-Wan, and Quinlan fought.
yeah, it's funny too, because if you think about it,
Mhm.
how does Cad Bane last longer against Jedi Masters than General Grievous? like think about that for a minute. How does Cad Bane last longer against Jedi Masters than General Grievous can?
Just because
Like,
General
isn't that
Grievous
funny?
sucks.
That's my point. I think he's a bit overrated, but like Cad Bane held his own against two Jedi Masters and he whipped them. Like he didn't just hold his own, he whipped them.
He has experience. I will say the experience that Grievous just might not have. You know?
Well, he did face Anakin a few episodes before. Like, he had to hire a whole bunch of bounty hunters into the Senate Capitol
Yeah.
and basically take
Yeah,
over.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But guys, let's get into the news. All right, Star Wars news, guys. Holy crap, did we get a ton today? So today, they dropped quite a few Kenobi things. There is an article out there, and I will warn the chat, if you guys don't want any potential spoilers, leave now, come back in like 10, 15 minutes. We will be talking about the report that came out about some stuff that we might possibly see for Obi-Wan. But to start off, we're going to talk about the comic, the synopsis for the comic run for the Kenobi run that comes out in the beginning of May. The official synopsis is: as he spends his final days in the remote deserts of Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi takes time to reflect on and record key moments of a heroic life long lived. Writing in an old leather-bound journals from his hermit's hut, Obi-Wan remembers his days as a young Jedi initiate in his trials as a Padawan in the crucible of the Jedi Knighthood and the Clone Wars, and some of the earliest challenges he faced as a true master of the Force. In this tale, Obi-Wan considers a watershed youngling adventure. He nearly survived on Coruscant when he was about 8 years of age. This is just the beginning of his Jedi journey. So like this is a very interesting comic run. We're gonna get everything from him being a Padawan to him being a Jedi Knight with Qui-Gon, and like it's gonna be really, really interesting. I can't wait to see that. What were your guys' thoughts on that synopsis?
I think it's extremely cool that we get to hear what the show is potentially going to be about. And I'm just so excited, man. Like, and it's funny I find it odd that you, of all people, are willing to say potential spoilers for Kenobi, as you are by far one of the most like crazy people about this show. Like you're like you don't shut up about this show, and you're willing to say potential spoilers. Like I give you courage, man. But I mean, I know it's like not really a spoiler. It's like
this comic book run isn't.
speculation.
Yeah, it's. Well, I mean, with the comics, you're just getting more. You're just getting more backstory, which I think is great. Sam, Chase, your thoughts on the comic run that's going to drop before the show, Joes?
Yeah, go ahead.
I also heard something else too. I think it's like a rumor. I think someone's going to be Bill O'Gorman is going to be coming back. His character, I think.
Yes.
Rumor.
Yes. We will talk about that in a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think it's neat because it sounds almost like a little bit more of the Jawa from a certain point of view where he gets the memory core of R2. It seems like it's going to be something like that.
Yes.
But a very elaborate version of that. And I think that from a certain point of view with the Jawa it's so wholesome.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it just makes you think like it just puts such a fond memory of all this stuff that we've been through thus far, and then having that perspective from Obi-Wan, because he has such a unique perspective of everything that transpired essentially from the end of the High Republic until where we are now. So I'm very excited for something like this to happen. I'm not the biggest Star Wars comic fan. Like I've just picked up Afra and I'm like slowly getting through it. I enjoy it a lot, but like even stuff like some of the stuff that I should be into, like the Poe Dameron comics, I just didn't do it for me. But this seems like something I'll be able to, especially if it's like a short, like five issue run or something like that. I'll probably be able to like zoom through this and really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, Chase, because the last time I was at my nearby Half Price Books, the only Star Wars comics they have there is Poe Dameron comics.
It's not bad. It's just
it's not your cup of tea.
I just feel like the story that they put, it's just like they put a very cool story that was. I love Poe Dameron. I am the opposite. I think Poe Dameron should have had more story in the sequel trilogy, but that's just my bias towards X-wing pilots. But it didn't feel like the story of an X-wing pilot. It felt like the story of someone like Dash Rendar would have been the perfect protagonist for that series. Like a cool mercenary, a cool like ex-soldier, something like that would have been perfect for that series. Not the pilot of Black One. But we're talking about Kenobi. We can talk about Poe Dameron another time.
Yeah. So speaking of Kenobi, I will put up the spoiler alert. We are getting into possibilities of the show. Not a ton of people are reporting on it, but some are. I feel like it could be an interesting conversation. So we have learned that a original trilogy character will play a big part in this show. According to Star Wars Newsnet, they have learned that Obi-Wan will have an important mission in the series that involves none other than Her Highness Princess Leia. As we know, the Kenobi series takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, which would make her 10 years old in the series. Additionally, we've learned that the princess managed to get herself into trouble. Why does that not surprise me? So they're speculating that even at this young age, from what they've heard, it appears that the princess is being held prisoner in a cantina-like establishment where we will see a healthy mixture of new and familiar creatures. Of course, Obi-Wan's task will be to rescue the princess. With a young Leia's significant involvement in the series, we know that her adopted parents will also play a role. As we all know, Bail will be back with by Jimmy Smits, and I feel like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, like
And to be honest, I feel like they had to. This is the way they're going to explain him not being there for Luke.
Mhm.
I've said this before, and I will say this again. There is only two ways that he gets off of Tatooine, and it makes sense. Either Leia is in trouble, or he is endangering Luke.
Yeah, like
And this
it makes
makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Because
I was about to say.
they did end up casting a young Leia and a young Luke.
Do we know
So
who's
this-
going to be playing young Leia?
No,
Okay.
nothing as of yet.
And this is just a rumor, right?
So two other websites have reported on this.
Okay.
But I knew for a fact, I knew Jimmy Smits was coming back for sure. And I suspected Leia was going to be a part of it, which makes sense because if Luke's not in trouble, but Leia is, he has that same. I feel like he has that same loyalty to her as well as he does to Luke.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's kind of spoilery, but I feel like we've known like this is kind of going to happen.
Yeah,
Will
I feel like that'll
Fitz-
be an interesting twist in the story because we always know Obi-Wan was there for Luke, but what about Leia? You know?
Yeah.
Will this screw up the Death Star scene though? Like when?
No, because she never really meets Obi-Wan.
So he's gonna rescue her, but we may not. They may never interact in the show.
She might be 10 years old and something happens to where she forgets what happened that
Okay.
night.
Huh.
That could definitely happen. I mean, it's not all right for people that are worried about the nitpicky bullshit in the fucking original trilogy. I'm sorry. This story is going to make more sense for the original trilogy than hurt it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
going to be honest.
I agree with that. I agree with that. There's just I'm just thinking like little stuff. Like yeah, it is nitpicky, but I'm like she definitely would have seen Obi-Wan while they're running to the Falcon.
Nidra, sorry.
But no, the one hope, not one hope, one of the big hopes that I do hope we do get. I want to see live action Alderaan, and I
agree.
I want to see the ships in the same way we got the ship diversity from seeing the ships of Naboo and how their technology evolved. The way that, and this is all expanded universe stuff, but the way that the ships of Alderaan like came to be, like they're so cool. I really hope, because we've been getting stuff from Legends that have been just like little drops here and there of like this is now going to be canon, this is now going to be canon, or at least an interpretation of it. The Alderaanian ships are so awesome that I really hope we get to see some of that stuff, like even just some of them taking off from spaceports. My heart will just like, oh.
Yeah, and we see a little bit of Alderaan at the very end of Revenge of the Sith, but it was only for a good 30 seconds.
It's like a B roll of like landscape, basically.
Yeah.
Like I want to see the city streets of Alderaan.
And here's the thing: the only way that makes sense is if like Obi-Wan can't just show up on Alderaan and be like, "Yo, what's up, Bail?" Like it has to be secretive, because if he goes to Alderaan, which is heavily in Imperial territory at that point, he would mess the entire rebellion plan and like the secrecy and everything. That would be blown all to hell. So I don't like, people were saying, oh, what if we got Obi-Wan Vader on Alderaan? I go, that completely ruins what happens in A New Hope. Completely. Because then it would have been, Vader would have been on to Bail from the very beginning. You know, if Obi-Wan was there, he puts 2 and 2 together. Like, it's not that hard to think that through.
I think I think we'll get something that's like a mid-level known planet, like something like Solus or something like that. That they'll face off on. Like I don't think it's going to be Mustafar. I think you're right. It's not going to be Alderaan. It's definitely not going to be Tatooine. It's going to be one of those planets that if you've paid attention to any external media of Star Wars, you'll probably do it. Maybe it's Dantooine. Maybe we get a Dantooine scene.
Yeah, but then again, that was an old Rebel base. We don't know what was really going on.
Yeah.
So I mean,
maybe, but it's one of those things. I think they're going to do it like I imagine the Obi-Wan versus Vader fight in this show will be a healthy amount of fan service.
I think it'll be fan service done well.
Oh, that's why I say healthy amount. Like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like, ha ha ha, they're going to go on the same things that they did in Mustafar, and it'll be just the
No.
same fight in the Vader costume. Like,
Yeah,
no,
it won't be.
It's
It
gonna
won't be Yoda pulling out his lightsaber and flipping and swinging. Like,
See, like
you know.
I think it's gonna be like SC Imagined. Like, that whole thing with the Vader and Obi-Wan
could be.
where they remastered it. I think the combat's gonna be more like that style. I think Vader, yes, it's gonna be hard to do like spinning and shit, and they're probably not gonna do that, which is fine. But I want a mixture of original trilogy combat and prequel con.
Well, and you'll get that from Ewan
combat.
McGregor. Like,
I think, and I haven't seen Rebels, but I know the Maul versus Obi-Wan fight.
Yes.
I think that proves, and this new narrative of how the sequels lightsaber fights, the original lightsaber fights are bad. It's like, no, you can. I think all of those fights tell really interesting stories, and I think the Rebels fight with Maul and Obi-Wan, it tells a beautiful story.
Yes.
And I think I don't think it'll be as poetic and abrupt as the Maul fight. I think we're gonna definitely get an elongated fight, but it's not going to be the Revenge of the Sith fight 2.0.
No.
It will be a good mixture of
both.
Of both, yeah. I think it will be very. It has to be incredibly emotional.
Yes.
And in a way that I think there is a lot of emotion in the Mustafar fight, but to a point where I would argue the rise
acrobatics.
Of the rise of Skywalker fight of Rey and Kylo, of how they are slowly trading blows because neither of them wants to kill the other. And I think that's what it's going to be very, very similar to. I think we will get some of that prequel flair for sure, but it'll be muted in a way.
Yeah. Sam, your thoughts?
I think there's supposed to be like Inquisitors coming in. I don't know.
Possibly, yes.
But I hope they really bring like they did in Rebels, how they told more of the story. I hope we get like more of Obi-Wan, like more of him. We get to learn more about him and see where his past and where he is now. Kind of like what they do in Boba Fett, but it's that let's dive deep into Obi-Wan. Let's learn more what we already know. But let's see what we can do new into Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Makes sense. We're going to. So from here on out, no more spoiler talk. No talk of that.
Yeah, someone pinged Camilla. Someone pinged Camilla in the chat because she was like, "I'm gone. I don't want to hear anything."
I can do it.
So,
okay.
Hey, Bozo, get back in here.
So now, we'll talk about the other news about Kenobi. John Williams has composed the theme for Kenobi. Very, very excited about this. Yes. Variety came out and said that he had already done it. So 4 other sources have said that he composed the main theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What?
Yes. So I know that theme. Like I think it's gonna be a mixture of the Force theme, but something else. But it's just gonna be very, very emotional. When that hits the first time, when we see Obi-Wan, I'm gonna cry like a baby back bitch. Like I am, like that's happening. Like I can't tell you how happy it makes me to know that he is doing it. I'm really, like, honestly, like Char said, I am looking. This is my most anticipated show, movie, stream thing of the year. This is my Joker. Like I am, and the fact that we get John Williams back is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
I had no idea until now. Like I was just looking through our notes. I
didn't know the details. I just know that John Williams was going to have some involvement with the music. It's not his entire. It's not. I don't believe it has the same amount of like involvement as like the saga films. But
no.
I know, yeah. But yeah.
That's incredible.
This show's gonna be
I had no idea.
all about crying nonstop.
Oh my god, it's gonna be nuts.
If you don't cry at least 4 out of the 6 episodes, you're not a Star Wars fan.
I'd say 6 out of the 6.
Not cutting Jordan here.
I hold that this show needs to start with Ewan McGregor on the Naboo starship, leaving Mustafar in the fetal position, bawling.
Oh god,
That's how
emotional damage.
That is how the series needs to start.
So that's how the N1 Starfighter got there.
Yeah,
from Book of Boba Fett is that Obi-Wan flew it.
No, because they used the Naboo transport. They used Padme's transport.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
It should be him on that starship, like bawling, and it just being autopiloted.
Oh god. Everybody's thoughts on John Williams coming back in composing the theme.
Perfect.
I am mind blown. It feels appropriate too for him coming back, and with the release date being the 45th anniversary of Star Wars, and it just feels super appropriate to have him, the greatest music composer of all time.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
No one. It's first is John Williams. Second is a long way down. No one's touching John Williams for a long time. I don't even know if anyone will, but dude, it's amazing to know that that's happening.
Yep. Sam, your thoughts on John Williams coming back?
Yeah, really well that he's coming back too. I heard that he's like he made, I think he did like the prequel sounds, like did all the original trilogies sounds, all that.
Yeah,
he's really great. We're gonna have probably get some more original trilogy sounds, or they probably will try to do like a mix of them.
I mean, he's done so many great scores throughout his career, so
yeah. Like, what if he does like a mix between like some of the prequel music and the original music? Like, what if like the Anakin versus the Vader versus Obi-Wan deal? We get a mix between like Anakin versus Obi-Wan's theme, like a mix between like
possibly.
Yeah, like what if we get a mix in between that? Like, that is possible, and John Williams is the guy to do that. Like, that makes it, because he's done the prequels, he's done he's in the originals, he's done the sequels. He's like,
he did Jurassic Park and Jaws.
He did Jurassic Park. He did Jaws. He did Harry Potter.
I didn't know
Indiana. He did Indiana Jones. Like, dude, his resume is out of this world, and I'm so glad. And he's like in his early to mid.
He's 90. He turned 90 last week.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea he was that. I knew that he was in his like elderly years, but man, like the fact that he's coming back to do this for Kenobi, like it just.
I think he did Close Encounters as well. He's done a lot of work with Spielberg, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, I know he's done a lot with Spielberg, but I can't remember if it was Close Encounters. You know what we need? We need Kenny Loggins to do Danger Zone, the Danger Zone reprise for Rogue Squadron.
That's awesome. That's a good idea.
Make it Star Wars style. I like it.
But moving on, this was announced during this week's Star Wars show. We are getting a official timeline book from Kristen Baver and Jason Fry, Cole Horton, Amy Richo, and Clayton Sandell. This will be the in-universe history of the galaxy far, far away, from the time before the High Republic to the fall of the First Order and the ultimate defeat of Emperor Palpatine by the Resistance. I am excited because now I don't have to look and see, oh, when did that take place? Compared to this and this. It's gonna be so awesome to read, and just I'm waiting to pre-order it. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait to dive into like specific things, because I'm sure there's gonna be a whole lot of Easter eggs and whatnot. But
I was reading the sentence down below, how it says, this will be an ultimate canon encyclopedia, drawing from the films, including the Clone Wars movie. I love how some people leave out the Clone Wars movie when they do like Star Wars rankings.
Well, and it goes
live action and animated series, books, comics, video games, and any other media. And I think that's cool because for those people that are not into the High Republic, they can read about this and learn about it a little bit more because you can see on the cover, you can see Keeve Trennis
Yes.
in the middle center. And not a lot of people know a lot about Keeve Trennis. And it's, for those of you that don't read the High Republic, this could be your introduction to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And this could get more people engulfed into the lore of what happens 200 years prior to the Phantom Menace.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely. And Baver, who wrote the Skywalker: A Family at War in 2020, she's quoted as saying, "I first gained a real appreciation for the way events across all kinds of Star Wars telling intertwine when I was writing Skywalker: A Family at War in 2020." But that was just scratching the surface compared to this project. It's a thrill to be working with such an accomplished crew of writers. And hold on here.
Is this gonna be like do we know if this is going to be like a large encyclopedia style book, or is this just?
It's supposed to be like 356 pages.
Okay, good.
Okay.
This is just like one of those visual storytelling. Like,
no,
this when Luke blew up
like
the
a book that's this thick. You know,
no, it's pretty. It's pretty big.
It's not like this book.
we want like a big.
Not like this one.
No, it's gonna be a bigger version. It's gonna be like 352 pages.
Really, and that one's pretty big too. The one that Sam's holding, like one's a good maybe like 260 pages.
It's totally different, but I've got this one. If you haven't seen this one, this is a chronicle of the New York Times articles about Star Wars throughout.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like it starts from the release of Star Wars until like today.
Char got me for a late birthday gift. He got me the Star Wars prequels archives.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that was
big red.
That was a big red.
There's so many cool like chronicle books out there now. That are just,
Star Wars Andor signs Nicholas Britell as main composer. It's gonna. I haven't watched Succession. I feel like I should, but all I've heard, all I saw on social media was like this was a home run hit out of the park. So that's nice to know.
What did he compose?
He composed Succession, the TV show on HBO.
I've never heard it, unfortunately.
Inner Cage.
Yeah.
Oh, get it up again.
Yeah.
Poopy.
And then also High Republic show was announced. And that it's in development. I'm so.
Is it finally happening?
Yes, it's happening.
This is the Stranger Things-esque show, right?
The High Republic?
Yeah.
No, that's Acolyte.
Okay. Because yeah,
so there's going to be 2 High Republic shows in the works, but this one that is being that was talked about during the High Republic show, it's going to be in between. I think it's going to be more towards phase 3 of the books and stuff like that. So that's interesting. And then to end it all off, Pedro Pascal was actually asked about season 3. He said that of Mandalorian, he said that they are going places. You're going to see a mixture of new characters and old characters. So what are everybody's thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm just excited. I don't care what they do about the Mandalorian. I fell in love right when I saw the first season. So I don't care what they do for anything.
Yeah, thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, with what they did with Book of Boba Fett, getting Chrysanthemum, getting Cad Bane, getting all of the stuff, all the people that, we never thought we would see in real life, and we did get to see. Even just seeing like a BD droid in Book of Boba Fett was really great to see. So there's going to be oodles of speculation as to who will be in it, but I'm really excited. Who do you think is going to be in there?
What?
I hope we get Sabine at least. I hope we get like an introduce, go back so that we can get off the Ahsoka show at least. No, like she's still here.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that is going to be it for the episode. Thank you to everybody in the chat, and thank you everybody here. Sam, where can the good people follow you on social media?
They can follow me on blakley2 or Ezra21 Bow.
Okay. And Chase?
You can follow me on TikTok at forwardintotheblack. You can also follow me on Twitch at the same name. And starting not this Sunday, but next Sunday, I'll be doing more weekly podcasts for the Rogue Council.
Yes.
Me and a friend, and we have a new co-host hopping on that you guys will learn about very soon. We'll be covering Revenge of the Sith the next time.
Yes.
That movie
Yes.
that some people like, and then other people hate
Absolutely.
it 15 years ago.
Absolutely. Char, where can the good people follow you?
Good people, you can find me here every Thursday night talking about our Clone Wars rewatch. And you can find me on TikTok at CharCharJ as listed down here.
And you can follow us at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, the Pod Ones Pod on Instagram, and Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter. Next week, we have a banger of an episode. We will be going over episodes 10 and 11, Heroes on Both Sides and Pursuit of Peace. Here is the lineup. Camilla, Vanessa, Nerdy Hands, and Senator Smoke will be joining us for an awesome conversation about Padme. It's going to be awesome. You guys won't want to miss that. Same time, same place next week. And we are all the Republic. And may the Force be with you.
For light and life.
Yeah.
See you guys.
See